Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you all so much for being with me here today. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Today, super excited to share with you my thoughts on Analogue Productions' very latest release and the last release of the Steely Dan studio albums that they are doing, Steely Dan, The Royal Scam. This album is a fantastic album, even though when it was first released in 1976, it didn't really get a whole lot of, I don't know, critical acclaim or critic love, I guess is probably the right word. The Fez on here, Kid Charlemagne, Haitian divorce in the UK on Haitian divorce, got some radio time and got some love from critics here and there. But the album overall was just kind of like, not really their best effort. In fact, I think one publication basically said, you know what, we didn't really see any advancements or any improvement musicality here on The Royal Scam. It was, if you recall, right after Katie Lied. And so, shoot, I think it's a great album. I think it's got some of the best songs the Steely Dan ever did, or at least in my opinion. My favorite song on the album is the title track, The Royal Scam. I think it's utterly fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and talk about today the UHQR, see what Analogue Productions, Barney Grunman doing the mastering and so forth. Let's see what they've done to this album. Most of the albums you can see, maybe you can't see them all back here, but I've got every one of them now of the UHQRs of the Steely Dan albums that Analogue Productions did as part of this UHQR series. And they've been mostly pretty darn good. I've liked really, they've all been better than the original pressings in my estimation. Some way better, some hit and miss, maybe a titch better. Let's see how this one compares to a 1980 pressing. It's not a 1976 original pressing. It's actually, I'm trying to think, Gloversville, yeah, I think it's Gloversville, pressing from 1980 and 1985 CD release. And then also we'll even take a quick peek and I'll compare it to the newly 24-bit 192 hertz high resolution audiophile that was just released just a few weeks ago as well. We'll take a listen to that, and I'm kind of comparing that from Qobuz. But anyway, we'll kind of take a look at that. So let's jump in and take a look. But as always, if you like what you see, please go ahead and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. But the most important thing to me, tell me what you're thinking. Let me know what your thoughts are. Leave comments in the comment section below. What do you think of the Steely Dan UHQR if you have it? What do you think of the album The Royal Scam or any of the other Steely Dan albums? Let's talk about it. I love hearing from you, love conversing with you. It's great. It's awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Analogue Productions UHQR, The Royal Scam. Okay, Steely Dan, The Royal Scam originally came out in 1976. It was right after Katie Lied and really right before Asia, and then of course Gaucho, and then there was some other albums after that. But let's go ahead and talk about that. Incidentally, on this video, if you want to jump ahead, I have put chapters in this video, so you can reach down in the description and select any part of it. I've got it categorized so that you can at least take a look and see what the sound quality is, what's in the box, how it compares to the 1980 pressing, to the CD, to the 192 24-bit high-res version. I'll actually rank these as well, and then we'll just, and then conclusion. So we'll kind of go to that. But in the video, we've got chapters in the description below, so take a peek at those. So anyways, we talked about this album didn't really receive a great deal of love when it was initially released in 1976, even though from my perspective, and being a Steely Dan fan and Steely Dan lover, I think it's one of their very best albums, and it's got probably one of my most favorite songs the Steely Dan ever did on the album, and that is the title track, the Royal Scam. So let's go ahead and start and talk about what we get in the box. Now keep in mind these are Analogue Productions UHQR. They're $150, so they're not cheap. So we want to take a look and see what we're getting in the box when we take a look at these. Here's just a quick picture or view of the box. Here's the back side of the box. We'll go ahead and open it up. Set that back there. And what we initially have in the box, we get this this little, I don't know, it's limited to 20,000 custom pressings. It's pressed at Quality Record Pressing in Salina, Kansas. This little leaflet signed by Chad Kassam. It's in all of their UHQR certifications of what you're getting. It's a UHQR pressed on their Clarity vinyl, which, by the way, is super, super quiet. Really love what Analogue Productions is doing with their vinyl. I think that adds to the really good sound that we get from these UHQRs, not to mention others. Then, of course, we get this little information on the UHQR process booklet that you get. Talks a little bit about that, which I think is just a great, awesome thing. And then, of course, you get a flyer, a little bit of showing you a lot of the albums and stuff that they are currently doing, have done, and is doing. Then we get in here the liner notes by Donald Fagen, which I think is absolutely super, super cool, the way that they do this. I think Analogue Productions does a really, really nice job with these UHQRs. You get in the box here an album cover, an original gatefold, as you can see. As we'll open this up, you can see it's got a list of the songs, the musicians, picture of Walter Becker and Donald Fagen right there. Really a very high gloss, excellent looking album cover. I already had the albums out, of course, because I've been listening to them for quite a few days now. Let's take a quick peek at their Clarity vinyl. See what this looks like. Here is side, I guess this is side C, side 3. You can see right through it. It's kind of nice. 45 RPM. I believe they are 200 gram vinyl. This album was remastered by Bernie Grundman, who has done all of the Steely Dan albums in the UHQR Analogue Production series that they're doing. Okay, so really the big question is, and what everybody's mostly interested in, certainly what I was interested in, that's why I bought the album, how does this thing sound? Well, let's go ahead and start. I'm going to go through the songs. I'm not going to hit every one, but I'm going to hit quite a few of them, and then we'll talk about the comparison to these other options and see where it really lies. Okay, first of all, let's try it on side A, which is Kid Charlemagne. Probably one of the most popular songs on, well, it is probably the most popular song on the album. Very well recognized. Received a lot of FM playing time during the night when it was released in 1976, and still, you know, on some of the classic channels, it still comes up, and it's still played quite a bit, which is, it's a great song. It's a super clean and very clear on this album. The guitars sound well extended, as are all the horns. And incidentally, that's one of the things on this album that really took my ear, if you will, when I was listening to it. And really kind of let me preface a little bit. I've been listening to the 1980 pressing quite a bit before I received this album, as well as the CD, and have been listening to the high-res 24-bit 192 version of the album as well. And one thing that I really noticed, and this track has it as well, and we'll talk about it as the album, as we go further into the sound of this album, is the horns. And it's not that you don't recognize them on anything else, but I was really able to pick out horns, especially in Kid Charlemagne, more so than I really have on any other pressing or any other version of the album, which is just crazy. Drums and bass sound amazing with detail and extension. Donald Fagen's vocals, as well as all the backing vocals, just sound absolutely stunning and clear. And the horns especially, and I'm going to talk about this probably a bit, the horns are so identifiable. In the left channel, there's, I believe it's a trombone, but I just never really paid that much attention to it until listening to it on the UHQR. It's just crazy. Staying on side A, second song, The Caves of Altamira. This is a great song, by the way. Good song. It has amazing sound on the drums. Horns and guitars sound fantastic. It's a beautiful song. It really does sound incredible on the UHQR. Third song on side A is probably one of my favorite on the album as well, is Don't Take Me Alive. Electric guitar on the opening sounds on a lot of pressings and even the radio and so forth, sounds a little muffled, sounds a little distorted. Not at all here. It sounds clean, clear as a bell when that electric guitar opening comes in. It just sounds simply wonderful. I've never heard it sound better than on this pressing. It's just really well defined. Vocals are, once again, Donald Fagen's vocal and the backing vocals are just stunning on this track. Everything is just very clean. Drums and guitar are especially just amazing on this track, with top end extension, bottom end extension. Not overdone by any means, but excellent, well-defined bottom end, in particular on the drums, and I really like that. Okay, let's move over to side B, Sign and Stranger. Piano is very well defined on this track and very clear. Vocals are excellent. Guitar is once again excellent. Piano, drums, bass, and lead guitar are just simply outstanding. Horns towards the end of the track. Once again, they're just so identifiable, so clean, so clear, so very crystal clear. It just sounds awesome. Second track on side B, The Fez. This is one of the more popular tracks on the album. Piano and drums are just simply stunning on this one. I can't even begin to tell you. And this is actually one of the tracks that I'm going to be using as a comparison. They just sound absolutely stunning on this track. There's just gobs of detail on every instrument, proper weight and detail on the bass, on the drums. Guitar is extended and very clear. It's squeaky clean. It's just a fantastic track, The Fez. Okay, moving over to side C, I'm just going to talk about one track on here. We're going to skip over Green Earrings, but the second track on side C, Haitian Divorce. It saw a little bit of time, I think mostly in the UK, but I like it. It's a good song. It's a good sounding song. Horns, especially on the trumpet, they just sound super clean and very identifiable. I just really never paid attention to horns in the album, even though they're there on every pressing. They're just properly balanced and they just sound clean and well detailed, as they do on Haitian Divorce. Guitar and drums and vocals are also top notch. Moving over to side D, last side, the second track on side D, The Royal Scam, the title track. Probably, in my opinion, just me, I think it's the absolute best track on the album. I really do. It's one of the ones that I always listen to. I love the song. It's dynamic. It sounds excellent. And boy, oh boy, on the UHQR, you've just got to hear it. It's simply stunning. The piano and drums are just absolutely wonderful. Guitars are wonderful. Vocals are absolutely perfect. Not to mention just Fagen's lead vocals, but all the backing vocals are just incredible. Definition and weight on the bass and drums is perfect and sounds awesome. Horns are especially well defined. You got to really listen to the piano and horns on this track. It's a little bit longer track, but you really got to listen for that piano and horns. They just sound so incredibly well. They're well defined. They're clear as a bell. It's amazing. You'll know what I mean when I talk about good definition when you listen to the horns and piano on this track. You got to turn it up. It demands it. It's a great song. Crank it. You'll just absolutely reward yourself if you do. It's a simply stunning track. So let's talk about, really quick, let's dive in and compare what the UHQR sounds like in comparison to the 1980 pressing that I have. It's an MCA pressing. It sounds really quite good. In fact, let's go back and I'll just quickly talk. Let's just take the first song that we'll compare it to. We'll compare Don't Take Me Alive, which I think is another one of the great songs on the album. The 1980 pressing here is really quite good. In fact, the bottom end on this album has a little bit more bloom to it than anything else that I've got. Not saying that that makes it better or worse, it just makes it quite different. Now, given a system that might have a very lean bottom end, this could very well sound good. To me, I could tell it was a little bloomy. I didn't like it nearly as nowhere near as well as the UHQR in reference to definition and proper weight. It was just well defined here, not so much here. And really, when you compare the top end and all the way down to the bottom end, the 1980 pressing, even though mine is free from snaps, crackles, and pops, it sounds pretty decent, but it just doesn't have anywhere near the definition that the UHQR does. I mean, it's very obvious, it's very noticeable, it's immediate. It's just like, okay, I don't know if I can listen to that when I have this to listen to. It's kind of crazy. But it like I say, it does sound, it's okay. It's not a terrible pressing. It sounds actually pretty good, but just no way near compared to what the UHQR is capable of. Well, how does it sound in comparison to the 1985 compact disc? Well, the compact disc does sound okay, but by comparison, really, to everything else I've got, the compact disc sounds flat. It's just, I don't know really what other word I could use that would better describe it. It's just flat. It's just not alive. It's just not warm. The 1980 pressing far exceeds the CD, in my opinion. And that's just, it just does. Well, how does it sound to the 24-bit 192 hertz high res from Qobuz? Now, keep in mind, I have on loan, and what I'm listening to this through is a Lumin T3X Streamer. And so, this is a pretty pricey streamer with a really nice deck in it. By the way, I'll be doing a review on that device in an upcoming video. But holy cow, I got to be honest with you, this new 24-bit 192 sounds really, really good, in particular through the Lumin T3X Streamer. It sounds great, but to be honest with you, dynamics and everything are there, but it just lacks that spatialness. And I don't know, I'm trying to find proper words to explain this. It just lacks the spatialness, the aliveness, the imaging and depth of room that the UHQR vinyl has. It sounds great. I mean, honestly and truthfully, that 192 24-bit high res, it sounds really good. And super good through the Lumin streamer, but it just doesn't have that room-filling depth and imaging focus that the UHQR does. Very, very nice, but falls short of the UHQR. On comparing the Fez, once again, the 1980 version pressing of the album sounds really good. Bottom end's kind of pushed up, a little bit more bloom than I really remember it having, but it does. But it just doesn't have definition. And here we talked about this clarity vinyl that Analogue Productions using. That could probably be a good part of it as well. But Bernie Grundman has done a masterful job of taking from those, tapes, whatever they are, one-offs, original tapes, I'm not sure, and just doing a fantastic job of getting every little ounce of definition out of those tapes and putting it on vinyl. It just sounds absolutely stunning, where the 1980 lacks in that definition top to bottom, in particular in the bottom end, even though it's kind of got a decent bottom end, it just doesn't have the definition that the UHQR does. Really pretty good, though. The 1980 pressing is pretty decent. The 1985 CD, once again, it's flat. It's okay, probably for a car, and it's okay, but it just doesn't compare to the 1980 pressing at all, and obviously nowhere near the UHQR. Moving on to the 24-bit 192, you know what? all that aliveness comes back, all that definition, you know, is really there. Once again, we just don't have that spatialness, that depth of stage and that width, and that, I don't want to say you are there, but you just have a little bit better look into the music on the UHQR than you do on the high res 24-bit. It's good. It's good. It's really good. But it's just not in comparison to the UHQR. It just simply isn't there. The last track that we'll do a comparison on is the Royal Scam. Once again, this album, or this song on the album, The Royal Scam, is just simply stunning, probably absolutely my favorite. The 1980 pressing's pretty dang good, really good. Once again, that bottom end's just a little more embellished, but just lacks definition throughout. Not bad, it's pretty dang good. It's really a good sounding album, but it just cannot compare when you play one after another. It's just no comparison. The CD, once again, very flat, probably just not there. It just really isn't there. Too flat, good for the car. I don't know. The 24-bit 92 KHC high res from Qobuz through the Lumin sounds awfully impressive. But there is just, and I put in my note, it just doesn't have that three-dimensional, room-filling sound that the UHQR. The UHQR sounds right, and I don't know how to put into words properly, I guess, the difference between the 24-bit 192, even though it sounds great. It just doesn't compare to the UHQR in spatialness, three-dimensionality, front to back, side to side, room filling. It just sounds right. And so that's really how I would compare the four pressings together. I would rank them. Being fourth place, obviously, I would put in the Steely Dan the Royal Scam 1985 compact disc in fourth. In third, I would definitely put this album, and it's quite a step above the CD. I would put the 1980 pressing in third place. It's really good. Sounds good. Kind of has a bottom end bloom to it. At least it does on my system. You know, a system that may not have a strong bottom end or really has a lean bottom end. This probably would sound really good in a system such as that. In second place, I would put the 24-bit 192 high res. It just sounds really good. It's got gobs of dynamics. It sounds really nice. But boy, I tell you what, number one, the UHQR, it just doesn't have that three-dimensional spatiality, and it just sounds right. Gobs of detail, gobs of definition, super quiet vinyl. I really think, and this is just me, as I start to get into the conclusion of this review, I really think, just looking at the other ones, if you can see behind me here, I've really been impressed with Asia and Gaucho and Can't Buy a Thrill. But to be honest with you, I think this might be my favorite sounding Steely Dan UHQR. It's that good. Bernie Grundman, folks at Analogue Productions, they did a fantastic job. It sounds simply stunning. Yes, it's $150. It's expensive. I get it. And I'm glad that I've got all of them, because I think they've all improved, at least on the vinyl versions that I've had and that I've had to compare it with. I think they've done just a masterful job. And this one, I think, is over the top. I think they did a fantastic job. Bernie Grundman's mastering is simply stunning. It's an absolute must-have if you're a Steely Dan fan. In particular, if you're a Steely Dan The Royal Scam fan, I don't think it's ever going to get any better than what you can get right here on this UHQR. Finest, I think it probably is the finest sounding Steely Dan UHQR that Analogue Productions has done. It's that good. Incredible sounding. Thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think. Tell me what your thoughts are. Have you purchased it? Have you got any of the others that you've compared it to? Let me know what your thoughts are. Also, we're going to be doing down the road. I've been purchasing all of the Steely Dan albums, the Analogue Productions SACDs. So when the Royal Scam comes out, we'll do a review of all of those and kind of see how they sound. The purpose for me buying the SACDs, I like to travel with the music that I really thoroughly enjoy, and I love Steely Dan. So I purchased them on SACD as well. And we'll take a look at that SACD once the Royal Scam gets released. We'll take a look at that. But really, in conclusion, fantastic. This is absolutely a Steely Dan lover, a Steely Dan the Royal Scam lover. This is a must-have. It's not going to get any better than this UHQR from Analogue Productions. Thank you all so much for being with me here today. Have a great day.